So you're here because you're a lazy, unmotivated couch potato who can't seem to get anything done because your brain's rotting and you're an overstimulation junkie. And the fact that you needed me to say that in that way to get your 8-second attention span brain to watch the video for this long literally makes my point. Hi guys, my name is Catherine. Welcome to my channel. I recently completed my bachelor's degree in psychology and now I make self-development content for the girlies. Sorry for low-key calling you out there, but here's the thing. I wasn't wrong though. Because that's why you're here, looking for how to reprogram your brain to be more productive. So the thing about productivity is that I know that there are so many hacks and tips and advice and whatever that are supposed to help you be more productive. You know, like be more disciplined. There's so many apps out there to help you with productivity. So many things out there. But the truth is that there is no one more productive than someone who is motivated to do something, that someone that wants to do something. There's nobody that's more productive than someone who has said, oh, I want to do this. I see the potential of being happy at the end of it or feeling pleasure at the end of it. There is nobody that is more productive than that, if we are being honest. So that could definitely be one of the major factors why a lot of people are not productive, because they're simply unmotivated. They lack that internal motivation that gets you to get up and do stuff. Now, one of the things that can affect your motivation, or one of the primary things actually, is dopamine. It's kind of like a buzzword lately. You should have heard of it. Now, dopamine does a lot of things. First of all, dopamine is actually a neurotransmitter. A neurotransmitter is a chemical messenger in your brain. Okay.
Calm down. We're gonna get real science right now. So hold on.
Like I said, dopamine is a neurotransmitter, which is a chemical messenger in your brain. Now, dopamine does a lot of things, right? It's responsible for movement. It's responsible for reward and pleasure. It's responsible for sleep, learning, a lot of stuff. But today we're going to be primarily focusing on how it can help you be motivated to get stuff done, okay? Now, as a motivator, dopamine basically sends signals to the neurons in your brain. Dopamine is like, hey, this thing might make you happy. At the end of it, you have the chance of getting a pleasurable outcome at the end of doing this thing. And then your brain's like, oh yeah, now I'm going to go do the thing. And your brain does the thing. And then dopamine is released again, reinforcing that behavior. And then there's this cycle that's created where it's like, there's this activity, I know it's going to get me pleasure, and so I'm going to do it, and then I get the pleasure, and the next time I'm going to want to do it again to get more of the pleasure. A very typical real-world example of how dopamine has always worked since the beginning of time as humans is in the case for our survival, in things like food and sex. Two things that humans need to survive. You need food to sustain you, to live long, to survive, and then sex or reproduction to survive, but through your offspring, but still in the same species, right? You eat food, you feel good, you want to eat some more food later. You have sex, you feel good, you want to have more sex later, and that will help you reproduce and survive and all that. So that's about dopamine. Where your unproductivity and your lack of motivation now come in is with the fact that the thing that is supposed to be motivating you, you are now desensitized to it. But the truth is that dopamine sends signals for a bunch of things. It sends signals for literally everyday tasks like reading a book, walking your pet, even eating healthy food. Like, it's always sending signals. But because of something called overstimulation, your dopamine levels are now super high, which just means that because you have been overstimulated and those things really, really pump dopamine into you, they pump in your favorite chemicals and you like them, and it's a lot of stimulation. When dopamine wants to hit for regular tasks, they just don't feel as good anymore. Examples of these overstimulating activities are endless scrolling on social media, video games, sugary food, even porn addictions. Literally, these things are like, even as I mentioned them, you should already be related to the fact that these things are super exciting and super pleasurable. They have instant dopamine hit. There is nothing like delayed gratification for any of these things that just said, and they make you feel really, really good, really, really nice. Your body will definitely supply dopamine after you have done these things because they are actually pleasurable things. And the more you do them, the more high amount of dopamine are hit from those things. But then when it now comes to everyday important stuff that you should be doing, you don't feel motivated. You don't feel like you want to do it because the dopamine signals to do those things, they're not hitting as strong as they would for this other overstimulated activity. So your brain is basically broken. Okay? Yeah. That's why the simple things of life just aren't as enjoyable anymore, right? Because you have already experienced these other things that you know are a lot more pleasurable. You are less motivated to do the things that you know won't hit or won't provide as much pleasure as this other stuff. It's kind of like how drug addiction works, literally. You take a little, you feel high, you take that in amount, it's like, and then your brain's like, oh, we need more of that to get that really high feeling, it's literally how it works. Practical examples of this is like how you just finish scrolling on TikTok and you're trying to convince yourself that you're going to do your assignment. You won't. Even the simple act of just watching a whole movie, watching it from beginning to end, looking at the plot, waiting for it to get interesting, you can't do it. You're already on your phone because you want that instant dopamine hit. You want that instant pleasure, feel good feeling that you can't even stay to watch the whole movie to wait for the movie to get good. And the funniest part about this is that it's not like these overstimulating activities are inherently bad, like social media and video games, and even eating junk food. Sometimes they are not inherently bad in and of itself, but because you have access to it so easily, you're able to get stimulated easily. You're like easily hit with those pleasure feelings. They are so instant. They have broken your brain, if you let me say that, and put it in a place of wanting only those highly pleasurable activities. So now that we have discovered what's exactly wrong with you, let me tell you how you're going to fix your brain to be more productive. And the truth is that, okay, so I have two categories of tips for you. The first one, actually both of them, are going to require so much discipline. I will never lie to you. I feel like you can already sense what I'm going to tell you to do. It will require a lot of discipline. But the truth is that, first and foremost, you just have to cut out on the overstimulating activity. I'm sorry, but that's just it. That is the only way you can give your brain a chance to come back down. You need to cut them out. You need to stop with the endless scrolling, stop with the video, stop with the porn, stop with the streaming food, stop with the taking of drugs. You have to cut them out totally. You have to cut them out totally for your brain to be able to calm down, for it to enjoy the more simple things in life. And you're going to have to engage in very, very simple, boring things. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all. You're going to need a lot of discipline. You're probably going to go through withdrawal symptoms, if I'm being so real right now. But it's really up to you. It's really up to you. You have to tell yourself that there is a point in life where you need to get to, and all these things are distractions. They are not letting you focus and do what you have to do. Because if you by yourself cannot encourage yourself to do what you know you need to do, to get to where you want to be, to do the things you have to do, then there's no YouTube video that you want to watch that will help you. It's really all about you, your willingness to change, your self-discipline, your self-control. Even I have to tell myself, I've been talking to myself for a few days now. I'm telling myself that, see, I need to cut down on some things. The place I want to be in life requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of hustle. It's not going to be an easy road because that is more important to me, because I can delay gratification and I can be disciplined enough to cut down on this stuff, to be more productive, to do what I need to do. I will do what I need to do, and that's just it. It's up to you to be disciplined enough to actually take this advice. But that's the truth of it. You need to cut down on overstimulation. You need to cut down on the overstimulating activity so your brain can come down to base level, and so that doing your assignment will give you pleasure. Doing that research for the business you should have started 2 years ago, starts to give you pleasure. And I'm going to give you a practical example, a relative example, hopefully, of why and how this thing actually works, and why you can actually reprogram your brain to be more productive with this example. So, I grew up watching telenovelas. Okay, the people in my family, my aunts and uncles, they watch a lot of telenovelas, and I also started to watch. It was the one I was supposed to be watching. I started to watch. I sat there to watch. And if you know anything about telenovelas, you know about like the romance, the romantic stuff, all of that. Yeah, I shall watch it. But when I was around 14, 15, 16, I can't really remember, I got into K-dramas. My friend got me into K-dramas. And if you don't know about the K-dramas back then, you know that in the romance department, I mean, like, they're there, but it's like barely anything. You know that the couples, they are not even hugging, holding hands, talking about kissing until the last episode, and they did kiss already. Awkward kiss. And then me coming from like telenovela background on watching all these highly intense romantic scenes, I was like, this is super made, to be very honest. But then fear of missing out, and then my friend who actually got me into K-dramas made me stay, and I kept watching and I even left telenovelas. And then it got to the point where when the couple held hand, even there was the last episode, I was so excited, I was so happy. I was like, oh, this is so cute, this is so much like all of this stuff. It was exciting for me because I had dropped the intensity that came with telenovelas, and I had embraced the cutesy, minimized romantic scenes that came with K-dramas. So shout out to K-dramas back then, not all the recent K-dramas. I'm talking like 2015, 2016, 2017 K-dramas, right? Those little traumatic moments were so exciting to me, even though it didn't start off that way. But then when I went from K-dramas to more American movies, then, I don't know if I want to get into that, but if you know, you know. I had cut down on what was highly stimulating and focused more on what wasn't as stimulating. But because I stayed on that path, it eventually got stimulating. Take for instance, you just wake up and the first thing you're doing is staring at a wall. I'm not joking. You get up, you stare at a wall, you stare at a wall for like 5 minutes. You didn't do anything, you didn't talk to anybody, you just there in silence, staring at a wall, like literally watching paint to dry or something. Tell me that your assignment, that research, that video you're supposed to make, that project you were supposed to start, tell me that will be the most exciting thing to you in that moment. That's literally how it works. That's literally how you're going to reprogram your brain to start to find your work exciting. You really need to make the boring exciting by doing something less boring. So as you cut down on the overstimulating activity, you're going to prioritize doing things that are very minimal in stimulation, like staring at the wall, looking at the sunset, sitting down and doing nothing. I'm not joking. This is how you do it. You just need to tell yourself when you have a time, like a break between something, maybe you're waiting for something, or just those periods, maybe you're in a queue, you're waiting for something like that. Instead of wanting that instant stimulation, why not just stay with your phone and stay and think? Although I know some of you won't even want to do that, but that's an insecurity thing. It's another thing I'll talk about in another video. But those are the things you can try to do to bring your dopamine back down, so that when you now have another activity to carry out, it seems like that you want to do, you suddenly find that your assignment is interesting. It won't be easy, yeah, but if you set systems in place and get accountability, you should be good. So now for those of you who say that you cannot be disciplined, you cannot give up endless scrolling on video games, but still want to be productive, here are some tips for you. First and foremost, you really want to do your hard task as soon as you wake up. Your dopamine base levels are like stable, right? You don't want to be doing a stimulating activity before you have to do the one that will be not as stimulating. You don't want to do it. You can also have a discipline and just jog through, but the easier way is to do the hard stuff first. That way your brain is like, oh, this is interesting, I'm just waking up, let's do this, get that done, and then you can now move on to your stimulating activities. Another tip is to break down the things that you want to do, have a very detailed to-do list and be checking it off. When you do something and you check it off your to-do list, it sends dopamine signals are sent to the neurons in your brain, and it's like, oh, that feels good, checking things off my list feels really good. And I don't want you to confuse this with forced productivity. Not the one where it's like, oh, you have your goal is to study for 2 hours, and then the thing that you have to do is that, oh, set up my desk, get pen to write, make sure water is beside me, and you need to be articulating stuff, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm being so productive. Please don't lie to yourself. That's not why we're here. What I mean is that if you have a goal to read for 2 hours, you break down to be each topic that you covered, you read the topic, you take it off, you read the topic, you ask yourself questions. That's just a free study tip for you there. Then you take it off and it's like, oh, I did this. It sends pleasure signals to your brain, and you want to continue, and you want to keep taking it off because it is a nice feeling. And then lastly, when you want to take breaks during your while you're working on whatever it is you're working on, have meaningful breaks. Do not do overstimulating things during your break. Rather, it is the best time for you to do nothing. I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about even listening to music, even eating sugar foods, especially scrolling on TikTok. You are doing something, you wait for an hour. Oh, I'm going to say 10 minutes break. The next thing you pick up your phone. You're joking. You're joking, my love. You're joking. During that period, go sit and think. Sit and think. It's still a break. You're not reading. So you're just there, just thinking. It's the perfect thing for you. So that when your timer goes off to go back to work again, it's not hard. You're still just as motivated as when you started. So that is all I have for you today. I really hope this video helped. I really hope you're disciplined enough to carry out these tasks, okay? Please, the channel is going for this journey, so we're ready to go. Okay? Thank you very, very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys!